This FM 104.3. Who to me target?
But having said so, I mean, let me just speak generally on the concerns. Would government be able to avoid this political business cycle? Or the business cycle? Business cycle is fluctuations around the trend of economic growth. What is here? Until you can treat the
can send up so can be a better here.
Business cycle is when you have fluctuations around the trend, another growth trend. Until you would have periods economy no a better baby. You would have periods a better form. But at every point in time it tries to revert, to that is when who say buying paying for would be putting in place counter-cyclical programs to ensure if you are in a recession or depression, whatever the nature of the drought is, to bring it back. Until a babaka at some point it will come to the trend level and exceed the beam. So these are fluctuations. And there will be a friend political business cycle, which means in every election year, before election, governments will do very well. They will try to make sure all the key indicators of a healthy economy are achieved. Your growth is reasonable, inflation is lower, exchange rate is the depreciation of the exchange rate is reasonable against other currencies, which means that your currency is not depreciating faster against other major trading currencies. So indicators to keep them stable. But through election year economic growth will begin to either plummet, then inflation will begin to rise, exchange rate will begin to go off the roofs, your deficit levels will begin to grow. Let's just say a best economy because of election. Until election now indicators are way out of range. And so spending the next 3 years trying to bring them again. So it becomes like the fluctuations I spoke about. It's a cycle. Until you have a period that to keep them stable. Elections na RTAC, you can say rough road. And it's not a good practice. Until the economists can say those in charge, they should try as much as possible to avoid political business cycle. It is called political business cycle because these fluctuations happen around elections. What is here? Until about to bedrua and found because they want to win elections, they engage in expenditures that are not budgeted for. They engage in all kinds of things a hard. And look, they supply a lot of money into the economy, which causes inflation to rise and all of that. Until there is that concern, 2024 AB, are we going to experience a political business cycle and and then keep expenditures low? Usha, I think we are lucky where we are. That will make it difficult for us to be able to have these overruns. Esan says, I am a program, we are still, undergoing the program. And there are some benchmarks, there are some checks, constraints be idea 2 years so say won't mean yes deficit and say cause in this annual so my hope is we are still undergoing that project going to 2024. Our expenditure compared to last year perform because of IMF programming. They won't allow you to do SEBI. The kinds of unreasonable expenditures now when you are not undergoing a program, they won't allow you. In fact, you mean
the kind of ajana one ajana
two expenditures and even it's becoming difficult to get the next tranche of disbursement, which means for us to actually get the next we need to keep to lower expenditure. Until me a shaming crime say 2024 we are likely going to
stay on
have
track.
Regular expenditure levels. This kind of man Bruce. That's my hope. But another thing Ananka me say to make obviously assurance double sure ne say unim say fiscal policy rules it is to guide you send a bear obetima show so. And one of such rules is to have a fiscal responsibility legislation or policy, whatever it is. In Ghana, the policy, we actually legislated on it. And they say there is Fiscal Responsibility Act. Act say and say we say by the end of every fiscal year, your deficit shouldn't exceed 5% of GDP. COVID by your Minister Korea. In fact, the first implementation of that action was to suspend the act. Your minister say because of COVID until mean dinumana a woman so until he suspended Mranuma going to suspend the act. But this is the third year after COVID. Baby, you need to start being fiscally responsible. And one of the things is to allow some of these rules to operate until to make assurance double sure, apart from IMF program, any conditionalities that will make it difficult to overspend, Mejidi say, if we unsuspend, if there's any word like that, and if we restore the act, Mejidi say, a best Minister for Finance and everybody else in charge of our fiscal policy, a best sure they will not be able to spend beyond the limits allowed by the act. Because if we restore it, now you decide to go beyond the limits, you bet me do a court. What is here? But as it stands now, if you suspend it now, the only thing I be seen is you hurt the IMF program, our progress with the IMF program. IMF was so intimate for court. Okay, you haven't met these minimum criteria. Can I say bano? AB I bet you chance and my number says here. That's the only punishment you get. But probably you would have won your elections if excessive expenditure is what would guarantee your victory. But we need to stop it. In 2004, he was running an election for his second term. But he was able to ensure, say economy so that in 2005 he was the only one and I think it's a lesson it is something you bet me but sometimes you place the fortunes of our parties beyond the general welfare and the common good, which is
I think you don't think 2020
just
to have the conversation.
Yes.
You don't think 2020 the government made a similar effort?
No, you see, as for effort, everybody would tell you they are making an effort. But you see, when you compare, we need to compare.
Actually, budget deficit.
We need, except for all the major indicators, in 2019. They are in 2019, they are 2020, like 2020. And here you are 2020, how did each variable fare?
Yeah, but remember 2020 was a special year.
Well, so that is why using as an example might not be entirely
exactly. So it's good to qualify the statement because Akufo-Addo didn't have
COVID. Oh, no, well, you see, I'm speaking to I'm speaking to the facts. Of course, if there were
now one I infected Atik
na antimi ensia like now when timi anyasana, that's a factor to consider. Ubetimi aka say COVID by na we needed we say this we didn't plan for and so on and so forth. Mijitum. But I'm saying factually speaking, from 1992 Kufuor na etimi year no.
Okay.
What is it? But Akufo-Addo, you can say in 2020 we never would have known ebi COVID amba ebi ankobetimi and ebi anka ontimi. What is it? But that's a factor to consider. ABI he could have done that. But I'm saying going forward, he has an opportunity yet again. So 2020 COVID by ABI Buano 2024
yes.
And I think we need to apply ourselves to this. And me going forward to be able to keep ourselves says yet me share on who share on na government there won't be overheating and there won't be budget overruns. I say it me restores our Fiscal Responsibility Act na yankasa yeji tu mu say be buayen Now, we to avoid the occurrence and a recurrence of that political business cycle.
Okay.
Media, say Minister for Finance, any cabinet, per se 2024 bebe na wiye no na sa niyeke NCB mudia. One of the things beside IMF programming is to institute and restore Fiscal Responsibility Act idea ebeboa. Na Mamifa we enter to Finance Minister so amas a very ambitious target of 1 trillion Ghana cedis as the GDP. And the major no maybe next week I become once. Because you take when answer no be forecasting or be
Peace FM 104.3. Good to meet